So take me back to the start of the pandemic and what kind of made you decide to bring Ian home and why Ian decided he wanted to do that.
Right. Well, we weren't quite sure what to do because the weekend before we'd spoken to him on Sunday night, and at that point I was conscious of the fact that you'd gone into lockdown. I think it was on the Tuesday. I rang Elaine to say, no, we'll bring him home.
I was with him
because you helped him pack his suitcase, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. And he got happier as the evening went on and realised that there was now TV and ice cream going to be waiting for him as well.
I don't know where he got the ice cream back from because he don't have ice cream.
So very early on, when Ian came back and lived with you again, you put in a schedule which you kindly sent me. So so it's a Monday to Friday schedule. So why did you put that in?
Well, when Ian first came home, it was very difficult for all of us to adjust as to what he was going to do and what we were going to do. And we had some challenging times with him, very emotional, very difficult. So he understood why he'd got to come home. He understood, I think, that it was for his sake, because he was stuck at home with us. So we decided we'd change that, and we say, no, you're not stuck at home with us. You're safe at home with us.
Yeah, that's kind of what official language, isn't it? That they have been.
Yeah, I think we heard it, or he heard it somewhere and on television, and I said, there you go. That's what I've said to you. You're not stuck with us. You're safe with us. But I realised quite quickly that I needed to think about what he was going to do. So for the first, must be 4 or 5 weeks, on a Monday, the two of us would sit down and we'd write a schedule. It changed, obviously, from the first week to what we're doing. Joe Wicks was quite easily established. So then he between us, we designed, but it was what to put in the times when there wasn't something specific. So we called it flexible time.
Yeah.
And that's really worked well.
Yeah.
Really worked well, because we've been out, if we've had to change something or something's changed, I've been able to say we're being flexible here.
Yeah.
So he's now understood that flexible means he can choose what to do out of a variety of things.
Yeah.
It was a bit grumpy because I'd swap Saturday and Sunday, but Sunday is usually his pajama day. But because we've got friends coming on Saturday, he'd still got to get dressed. So he's had to get dressed every day.
Yeah. So what, can't he put his pajama day for another day?
Well, certainly not. Monday to Friday. Excuse me, no. Monday to Friday, and then Saturday we walk into town. Sunday's day of rest.
So the 2 p.m. daily walk. It helps to prepare dinner at 4:45, and pointless at 5:15.
Yes.
That's a tradition. Last week you told me about a few times when you've heard Ian crying in his room at night. Yeah. That's
reduced. We had quite, as I say, that first 2 or 3 weeks. I would say at most days he was in tears about something. Something had happened, or missing his flat, or missing his friends. But that slowly but surely diminished, and then we'd get a night where he'd wake up and he'd be crying his eyes out. And so I just sat with him. But last Monday was the worst, when it was midnight. But again, we sat through, and I put some music on for him. I was like, fortunately, the battery went in it, so it turned off quite quickly.
So, what has been the best things about having Ian home during this period?
Oh, I think having the fun, the company, the love. He can be so entertaining.
Yeah, I know.
And he's very helpful. He enjoys helping me do get the tea, and he'll get the drinks, he'll get the knives and forks out, and he'll take all the stuff away. But he sits with me, and when he's colouring, and he'll sit there, and sometimes when he's colouring and I'm reading to me.
Ian, it's looking like, does have a return date now. For a couple of weeks from now. Is it a couple of weeks?
1st of July, week on Wednesday.
Oh dear. Oh
I'm
no.
sorry. Ian is, I'm sorry, I'm just being stupid. Ian is really quite excited about it. And I'm just absolutely terrified about it. I've not been able to sleep since Friday, particularly well, hence probably being emotional. I'm so worried about him going back, and I have no idea why I'm so emotional, which is why I've said to Elaine, I'm going to take him down on Friday to go and get his room sorted, and strip his bed and what have you, so that when he goes back on the Wednesday, I know that it's starting being in a clean position. And then I'm worried silly about what he's going to do, and I'm worried silly about what I'm going to do. This is why I'm getting a bit emotional. Sorry.
But yeah, you did say last week you might have to put a similar structure in for yourself when.
Yeah, my sister's, has said, look, for God's sake, you've got to write a timetable for yourself and put things in place so that you don't just, because she knows what I'll do. So she said, so she's this lecture about you do this and you've got to do that, and I hope something like that happens for him, because I am worried. And I'm thinking, and the other thing that I don't know how this will work is that when he goes, will I be able to go down and see him, or is that it? I won't be able to go and see him anymore, which hadn't occurred to me until Friday.
I'm not sure on that one. I think there's a lot of things going to change tomorrow, aren't they, with Boris's speech?
Hopefully tomorrow it'll become a bit clearer if he makes his announcement that he's going to be making.
Okay.
Sorry, let's talk about something more cheerful.
So let's talk about something positive. Ian's charity work. Since
oh yes,
we haven't done that one, and I've got lots of clips that I can overlay on there. I'm sure I'll put the Kate Bush one on. Yeah, Ian's been doing some charity work for McIntyre while he's been away. So how did that come about?
I'm not altogether sure how it came about. I have a feeling that Elaine emailed us about, does it move for McIntyre?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, Move for McIntyre.
Yeah, doing something. And then I looked it up I went online and had a look to see what it all meant. And then Ian and I talked about, he quite fancied the idea of doing something.
Yeah.
So we discussed about it, and it came about doing this Olympic challenge.
Yeah.
And then it was going to be doing a bit of running and jumping and what have you. And I thought that the problem for that is that we've got nowhere to go and do that, Ian. So it's got to be something that's going to challenge you, but something that we can do within the confines of our, I was going to say grounds. That sounds grand, doesn't it?
Mansion.
In our mansion. And he went, oh, right. So I said, well, what sort of things could we think of to do that are challenging? So he came up with some, like the cycling, cutting the grass, washing my car. I came up with the one about the ironing.
Yeah.
He did the one about the yellow submarine.
Oh, that was fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. And the barbecue, I was really chuffed with him about the barbecue one, because he's terrified of the barbecue.
Yeah.
And I said, right, well, let's have a look, see what you can do. So he did it with his dad and dressed up, as you saw, with the hat and what have you.
Yeah.
And he did really well. I was very impressed about that.
How much money did he raise?
It was 500. We did contribute a bit at the end, but I was, because he was going to get a certificate if he raised more than £35. So when we got to 100, we were just very pleased.
That was his goal, wasn't it? 100.
It got to I think it was 375, and then Dave and I we made up the rest. We thought, well, because he'd done 10 challenges here, and he'd done so well. So I thought, well, make it up to the 500, and it was a sum that he could sort of identify with.
Yeah, he's so proud of that fact.
Yes, indeed.
And he's been on MKFM back home as well while he's been away.
Yeah, I showed him that. Well, we didn't see obviously didn't hear it on the radio, but I saw the somebody, I can't remember, would it be Lorraine? Yeah, she sent us the clip for the transcript of it. Yeah. So we've got that, yes, which is really good.
Bit of a hero back home. He's all over the McIntyre website.
Oh, is he? Oh,
yeah.
Good. You'll have to show him if you can.
Yeah, I will do. Okay, so Liz, we've talked a lot about Ian, so I'm going to ask you a little bit about yourself. So What's your biggest goal for life going forward after this?
Going away in the motorhome, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah.
My secret wish would be to move to the seaside.
Yeah.
That would be my biggest goal, but that's never going to happen because I can't move that far away from Ian. I just wanted, very naively, I just want things to go back to back to normality. Ian's back at work doing all the one things he loves to do. We can go and start going out and about and seeing our friends and giving them a hug. Like it's when Paul and Linda, silly things like Paul and Linda arriving. I found it very emotional. I just couldn't give them both a hug and a kiss and say how lovely to see you.
No.
It's so difficult.
Yeah, I bump into, because my sister works here, and I bump into her quite regularly, and I would go and give her a hug. That's what I do when I see my sister. I go and give her a quick hug. And I haven't done that for 13 weeks, so it's very bizarre. It is very bizarre. What are you doing to stay connected with family and friends?
Well, you probably see what we've done on that chart, because he included in everything. I talk to my sister sometimes privately on my own on FaceTime. We have a weekly contact with my brother and my sister and their husband and wife. But my sister I'm very close to, and friends, Paul and Linda, you've heard us talk about. We're quite close to them as well. So, and I see my neighbour. So we've done use Zoom and FaceTime and the odd WhatsApp video.
Yeah.
Dodgy, that one. But that's how we play bingo on a Monday night, is using the WhatsApp. Yeah,
and you've been participating in singing sessions and things, haven't you?
Oh yeah. Gorgeous Corby on a Wednesday night. Yeah, Ian loves that. So
what is the biggest thing you have learned from this experience, Liz?
That I love my son.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that's never been in doubt, has it?